When it comes to addressing the long-term causes of the prevalence of urban violence, social scientists, pastors, family counselors, therapists, demographers, theoreticians all agree with Granddaddy and Big Mama: fathers do matter. This week, all of us, our eyes were glued to the fabulous story of America's new sweetheart, young Gabby Douglas, and most of in our communities, we saw the African-American mother and the siblings. We saw the surrogate family in Iowa, a white family that took her in. And most of all, if we did not verbalize it, we wondered, where is the father in this story? In this age of social networking, it took less than a day to find out where he is. He is in Afghanistan, serving 4 tours of duty in the U.S. Air Force. And he has been actively involved in his child's life. He paid child support. He funded high-level gymnastic training for her in Texas. He flew to her U.S. qualifying events, finals in June. And so when she saw him, she shouted, "There's my daddy." And with great confidence, she steeled herself and took the U.S. and now the world by storm. My point is, going forward, we're going to have to de-racialize the subject of absent fathers. This past July 15th, the New York Times had an article on the front page, "Two Classes of America Divided by I Do." And it makes startling observations on where the nation is headed because we have all devalued fatherhood. Women in lower economic classes for all racial groups are increasing in parenting alone. 40% of the growing income inequality and income gaps are attributable to the increases in single parenting families. Children of fatherless families are trapped in cycles of poverty and are less likely to succeed in school, more likely to have emotional problems, more likely to be incarcerated, less likely to participate in enriching activities, more likely to be single parents themselves, and more likely to have children with multiple fathers. This cycle of fatherlessness is more driven by class than by race. Harvard sociologist Christopher Jenks notes that college graduates tend to marry each other, they marry later, they have children later, and they stay married to enrich the lives of their children. And I quote, Jenks says that people who need to stick together for economic reasons don't, and people who least need to stay together do. Charles Murray's book, Coming Apart, The State of White America, 1960 to 2010, says that the erosion of values means the declining of economic opportunities for all families and communities. My point is, when we look at what is going on in the black community, this is what all of America will look like if we do not address the core issues of poverty and violence. In my book, somebody say my book, Project America, which was just published, by the way, my point is we need to restore public policies that support families. I've testified in my own story. My mother died when I was 8. My father raised us. It was 8 children. I was next to the youngest. And so I was in a single-parent household, although my father was the single parent. But the fact of the matter is we lived in public housing less than a mile from here, the Jane Addams projects. I went to public schools. I benefited from land-grant colleges. The point is we had family-friendly public policies. And those policies were in place when European immigrants needed them. And they should be in place for all Americans to lift themselves up. We need to engage public policy that supports families again. And so in closing, and this won't be a Baptist close, I just have one close. We need public policy and personal responsibility. And so we're calling on all fathers to come home and bring the best of what you have. Come home and raise the children. Come home, support the families. Come home and rebuild communities and we can have peace in the valley. God bless you. Thank you very much.